Okay, out of town, answering a couple questions while I have some downtime. Okay, this is a good question. This is my son's IEP. Now, I, as far as the image, I mean, I see what you're getting at. I mean, I don't have the entire IEP, so I'm going to be basing my answer off of what I can see. Mainly off of your general question that he's only in school from 9:05 until 3, and and then based upon your information that they let special education out earlier than general ed, and this adds up to a lot of missed hours of instructional time. Is that a violation of FAPE? Yes, if that's how it goes. And so let's explain this, okay? The majority of the states in the United States are going to have compulsory education laws that require that students be inside the public school or to be in any kind of school setting, whether it be home school, private school, a church school, public school. That's what compulsory education laws are that mandate that within an age group that the child must be educated, okay? So in the public school, that means, including special education, that the law applies to them too, within the hour that within the minute that the school day starts and when the school day ends. Treated no different than general education students. All right, there are many, many, many schools that I know that are out there that release special education early. Now, that could be because of bus schedules, that they release special education students earlier. Or it could just be because they do. Now, at the same time, is that appropriate? Well, it depends. And this is what it depends on. Whether or not the IEP team, and that includes the parents, have made the decision and have it thoroughly and expressly documented in the IEP that your child or that child that the IEP team is discussing is working on a modified or reduced schedule. Under those settings, that's appropriate, okay? My own child only goes to school 4 hours a day and not 5 days a week, 4 days a week. Now, why is that? Well, the data shows for us that if we have a very defined program that she can make massive gains in that 4 hour block 4 days a week. And that allows her or gives her those 3 days to sit there and I don't know, prepare for the next week. In as far as she's concerned, because she's been able to make consistent gains, and with the data collection showing that her behavior plateaus or flatlines during that 4 hour block, we as an IEP team have found what a free and appropriate public education is for her, using data collection and reviewing the data during a school year, and we've maintained that for many years. That was an IEP team decision, data driven and based upon a review of the data, and therefore the school system and my wife and I are confident that my daughter is receiving a free and appropriate public education within that modified schedule. Now, if you as a parent have not been noticed or asked, or if this was even brought up, it's just what they do as far as the school, and they just release the children early. And I'm talking about kindergarten age on up, okay? When the compulsory education laws typically start, which is kindergarten up until I think 17 is usually the norm. All right, I'm talking about that group. But even with preschool children, and even with children that are outside of that realm of compulsory, past the age of 17, and let's say they're entitled to services till they're 21. Now, they're still entitled to a free and appropriate public education. And so therefore, those time frames still rule and dictate, even with preschoolers. You need to know, I'm not saying that they need to be there for the full breadth of the day, but the parent has to be fully aware of how much time they are allotted and whether or not that's being complied with. But for the sake of this question, whenever school starts until school ends, for those caught in those laws for compulsory education, then by state law, these children must be there unless the IEP team, including the parents, make a different arrangement per the individualized needs of the child. And if that is not the case, then yes, they are in violation. Not only is the school in violation of state law, but they're in violation of your IEP and also running the risk of your child losing an allotment of instruction, and also losing access to the general curriculum, which is a huge aspect of the law. I mean, all the way across the board. It's a violation. Okay? So those of you out there, and I've had parents do this, that suspected that the school was releasing children early, especially if their child is not going to their home school, but let's say a special school. I've had parents sit out front of the school just to help me investigate, and sure enough, these schools were releasing their children early from the specialized school in order to get them on the buses, in order for the buses to go to the regular schools. So every one of the kids at the specialized school were being cut, or their number of hours in the school day was being cut. And even if it's 30 minutes, what is 30 minutes a day by 5? And then most schools or most states mandate a child must be educated for 180 days in a school year. So you do 30 times 180 days, and that's how many minutes that the child is losing out on instruction time. And we have had OCR, we've had OSEP, we've had due process situations all come in and force a school to have to offer corrective action and make up that time for every one of those students when they get busted. Now, why do schools continue to do stuff like that? Out of administrative convenience. And I can tell you, administrative convenience is a no-no under the law.